Revealed, how a waitress became an inspiring billionaire's wife at her mother's touching gala. In the quiet town of Maplewood, an extraordinary tale unfolded on a starry night when Sarah, a humble waitress, became a beacon of hope. She stood before the bustling crowd at the annual charity gala dedicated to her mother, Ruth, a once beloved community leader now weakened by illness. With glittering lights draping the diner like a twinkling sky, Sarah felt the weight of dreams and love pressing against her heart, a combination of determination and vulnerability. This night could change not just her fate, but hers as well. The diner, with its vintage decor and laughter that danced around like the wafting scent of fresh apple pie, radiated warmth. Yet, Sarah felt the shadows of worry creeping in as she glanced at her mother's frail frame. Ruth had always inspired others, her spirit now dimmed by health struggles. Sarah was determined to raise funds to help, pouring her heart into organizing this event, knowing how much it meant to both their family and their community. As guests filtered in, the room buzzed with laughter and chatter, enveloping Sarah in a bittersweet cloud of nostalgia. She wanted to elevate their lives, to pull them out of the economic depths that threatened to overshadow Maplewood. Each smile reminded her of cozy breakfasts and warm hugs, a reminder of the community they cherished. But lurking behind her smile, anxiety gnawed at her. The possibility of failure loomed large. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. It was a beautiful evening, brightened by meaningful connections, until Mark Hargrove waltzed in, the embodiment of privilege and wealth. With a dismissive scoff, he took aim at Sarah's aspirations, belittling her efforts to uplift others as childish whims. It's cute, really. A waitress hosting a gala. Good luck with that. His words crashed like thunder in the night, and the laughter faded momentarily. Disbelief washed over her as the crowd murmured uneasily. Yet, in the depths of despair, an unexpected encounter breathed life into her dreams. Jacob, a kind-hearted billionaire, reached across the divide with a genuine smile and offered her friendship. Suddenly, the lofty heights of her aspirations felt tangible. Yet, Sarah wrestled with her mounting feelings for him and her commitment to her family's legacy. Summoning courage from her core, she spoke out, her voice trembling yet resolute. I may be a waitress, but I'm not defined by my job. We're all worth more than our titles. Her words echoed throughout the room, shaking the foundations of judgment. A hush fell, the air thick with possibility, but just as hope flickered brightly, chaos erupted. An emergency call shattered the magic of the night, leaving Sarah with her dreams hanging in the balance, as her heart beat in rhythm with uncertainty. How could she save her mother and their town? In that moment of unresolved tension, a question lingered: will the strength of community and unwavering love truly defy the odds when faced with deep-rooted societal challenges? As the night unfolded, Sarah knew she had to hold on, not only to her family and community but to the hope that may yet change their destinies forever. The faint ring of Sarah's phone shattered the stillness, vibrating against the wooden table. She instinctively reached for it, her heart pounding. Without even glancing at the caller ID, the growing knot in her stomach warned her this call would change everything. Sarah. It's Ruth, her mother's frail voice came through, shaky yet somehow deliberate. Instantly, all her worries collided, forming a whirlwind of emotion. You need to come home. It's urgent. I can't wait. Her breath caught in her throat. The words urgent and mother pricked at her more than the world outside the diner. She excused herself, the glimmering sights and sounds of the gala fading into a distant backdrop filled with murmurs of concern and curiosity from the guests. Panic fueled her as she hurried outside, the cool night air wrapping around her like a shroud. Each step felt heavier, laden with questions she couldn't yet bear to ask. When she reached her car, her hands trembled on the steering wheel, thoughts swirling of all that could be wrong and all that was left to accomplish. The drive home was a blur, the once familiar roads now twisted, each turn an echo of memories: baking pies, gardening, and evenings spent sharing laughs with her mother. What would she return to? Upon arriving, Sarah found Ruth sitting in a chair by the window, a facade of calm painted across her weary face. The sight stole the breath from her lungs. "Mom, what has happened?" Ruth offered a weak smile, though it didn't reach her tired eyes. "I didn't want to worry you, sweetheart. I just am getting weaker. The treatments aren't working." The world seemed to stop. Time held its breath as anguish crashed like waves inside Sarah's chest. "But we were going to raise money, find a way to help you." A tear slipped silently down Ruth's cheek. "You've already done so much. Your heart, your spirit, it lights up this town. But I can't hold on much longer." With each word, the hope Sarah had clung to flickered like a candle in a gusty storm. "No. There has to be a way. I can't lose you." Ruth reached out, her frail fingers holding Sarah's trembling hands. "Promise me you won't stop shining. This town needs you, your dreams." After a long moment, Sarah nodded, fighting the tears threatening to spill. But deep inside, a realization began to bloom. There was more at stake here, more than just an evening gala. She had to rally the community in a way they had never seen. But then the shadows loomed larger. Just as she was about to ask her mother for advice, a loud knock echoed from the door. Mark's voice ushered through, disdain dripping from his tone. "I hope I'm not interrupting your pity party." A surge of anger bubbled up within her. Couldn't he see the war she was fighting? With the urgency of a fresh resolve, Sarah turned to Ruth, her heart steadying. "This isn't over. We'll get through this together." She stepped toward the door, each stride igniting her spirit, ready to face not only Mark but whatever darkness threatened her and her family. As the door swung open, Mark stood with that familiar scoff. Yet, Sarah felt different. Empowered. Determined. "You don't know anything about me or the love I've got to fight for. You've underestimated not just me, but everyone in this town." She squared her shoulders as the words hung heavy in the air. The night was no longer just about her mother, it was now about every soul in Maplewood who deserved a chance, a brighter future. With that conviction blazing strong, the question rippled through her thoughts: how much was she willing to risk to save her mother's legacy and her own dreams? If all of Maplewood came together, could they rise from the ashes of despair? With the quiet strength of her mother's love as her guiding light, she had to find out. The confrontation with Mark left Sarah's heart racing. She could feel the weight of his derision pressing down on her, but the fire igniting within her wasn't going to dim. "What do you want, Mark?" she demanded, refusing to back down. Mark shrugged, his dismissive gaze sweeping over her. "Just came to see how you're dealing with all this. Thought you'd be a little more broken. Maybe you should try being a little less self-absorbed," Sarah shot back, her fingers curling into fists. Every word was fueled by her mother's plea of not giving up, strengthening her resolve. "You don't understand anything about what we're going through." He raised an eyebrow, a smirk curling on his lips. "Right, because you're the town's savior now?" The derision in his voice made her clench her jaw, but she could feel a strange pity for him taking root. "No, but I'm not going to let you or anyone else tell me what's possible for my family." Before Mark could respond, Sarah's phone buzzed violently in her pocket, breaking the tension. It was a group text from her friends. They were asking about the gala and how they could help raise funds. A fresh wave of hope washed over her. Maybe this was her moment. "Maybe you should take a page from their book," she said, pointing to the phone. "People care about others here. They don't get bogged down in negativity." "Good luck with that," he sneered, stepping back as if she had physically recoiled against him. "You gonna save her with a bake sale?" As she prepared to slam the door in his face, she caught a glimpse of the person she used to be, one who worried about others' opinions and the shade of voices trying to belittle her. But that wasn't who she was anymore. The stakes were too high. "Actually, I think a bake sale can turn into something much bigger," she said, a grin breaking through the frustration. "It's not about the money, it's about bringing people together. And I will bring them together." Mark's smirk faltered, replaced by something she couldn't quite place. Was it fear? Go ahead and try, he muttered, backing away. But don't be surprised when no one shows up. As he turned and walked away, Sarah felt an electric surge of determination. Maybe he didn't see the heart of Maplewood, but she did. This wasn't just about her mother, it was about everyone who had lifted her up, given her a home when she had doubts, and believed in her. Back inside, she found her mother looking at her, pride shimmering through the worry etched on her face. What was that all about? Just keeping him in his place, Sarah replied, her chest swelling with defiance. I have an idea, Mom. We can rally the whole town. We'll host a gala like the one we planned, but instead of just trying to raise money, we'll make it a celebration of life, love, and community. Ruth's eyes widened in surprise. A celebration? You really think they'd? Absolutely. Sarah interrupted, excitement bubbling over. This town is filled with people who care. They won't let you down. I mean, look at all the support they showed during your treatment. Her mother's brow furrowed but then slowly lifted as she considered it. And how do you plan on doing this? I'll call everyone. Sarah exclaimed, her mind racing. Friends, businesses, anyone who feels like a part of something bigger. We can make posters, set up a website. Social media, it's perfect for this. But it's going to take time, and Ruth's voice fell off, but Sarah wouldn't let her finish. Time is what we have to fight for, she insisted, a fire in her eyes. And let us make this happen quickly. I'd rather work hard doing everything now than wait and wish later on. Ruth nodded slowly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. You're so much stronger than I ever was. I learned from the best, Sarah breathed in, the realization hitting her how much this fight meant not just for her mother, but for the town too. And as she set her thoughts in motion, Sarah felt a surge of energy thrumming through her veins. What she was about to do would reshape her destiny and uplift others at the same time, but even as plans swirled around her, a nagging worry lingered. What if Mark's cruelty was just a shadow of a larger threat lurking beneath the surface? Before Sarah could dive into her thoughts, Ruth grabbed her hand, anchoring her momentarily. Promise me, whatever happens, you'll be careful. I promise, Mom, Sarah whispered, squeezing her mother's hand for reassurance. As her mind raced ahead, she knew one thing for certain: this was just the beginning, and soon the town's true strength would be revealed. But for how long could they stand together against the challenges looming ahead? With a newfound sense of purpose, Sarah grabbed her phone and began reaching out to everyone she could think of. Each name on her contact list felt like another piece of hope slipping into place. She sent messages, drafted emails, and even made a few calls, her fingers flying over the screen as if trying to harness the wave of inspiration that surged through her. Sarah, you're going to wear that phone out, Ruth chuckled softly, watching her daughter bounce from one task to another. What if you took a break? No breaks until I get this thing rolling, Mom. Sarah replied, a burst of laughter escaping her lips. We're not waiting for the right moment, we're creating it. Ruth smiled, her heart swelling with admiration. She could see her daughter blooming with every word spoken, every idea shared. The more Sarah planned, the more she realized this wasn't just about the gala. It was about finding joy in the midst of struggle. After a long afternoon of brainstorming, Sarah finally settled down on the couch, a satisfied smile plastered on her face. The draft website was coming together, and even the designs for the posters were starting to take shape in her mind. For the first time in weeks, the weight on her chest began to lift. Just then, her phone buzzed again. It was a reply from Melissa, one of her closest friends. Count me in. I'll help with the food. Isn't there going to be a theme? Sarah's heart soared. Yes, she exclaimed, sending a quick response. Soon, others followed suit, each message adding another layer of excitement. The energy in the house felt electric, casting aside the shadows that had been lurking. As dusk fell, she and Ruth sat together in a cocoon of glowing hopes and laughter. They made lists: what to cook, who to invite, what decorations they might need. In that moment, everything felt right. They would make this gala not only a fundraiser but a celebration of resilience, community, and love, but amidst the excitement, Sarah couldn't shake the nagging reminder of Mark's cruel words. She wanted to ignore them, to push them away. But the truth was, doubt was a stubborn little creature. It snuck in when she least expected it. "Mom?" she finally asked, the question heavy in the air. "What if we do all this and no one shows up? What if Mark is right?" Ruth paused, locking eyes with her daughter. "Then we'll still have done something incredible, Sarah. Sometimes, the journey matters more than the destination. But I have faith in our people the way they came together for me, for you." Sarah nodded, drawing strength from Ruth's unwavering belief. "You're right. We can't let fear stop us. It's just, I want this to mean something. It already does. You're bringing the town together, regardless of how many people come. That's a victory in itself." Before Sarah could respond, a soft knocking interrupted them. Startled, they exchanged glances before Sarah walked to the door. She opened it to find Mr. Johnson, the owner of the local bookstore, standing there with a pie in hand. "Evening, Sarah. Heard you're cooking up something special," he said with a warm smile. "Thought I'd drop by with this. Consider it my donation to the gala." Sarah's heart swelled. "Thank you, Mr. Johnson. That's so generous." As she accepted the pie, she felt a flicker of what this evening could become: a community coming together, each person contributing their own spark of support. Just when she thought she'd reached a tipping point of joy, a shadow crossed her mind once again. Mark had been quiet since their encounter, and his sour remarks echoed. What was he planning? "Mom, wait," Sarah said suddenly. "What if Mark isn't done yet? What if he tries to ruin this?" Ruth's brow furrowed for a moment before she shook her head. "We can't let fear dictate what we do. Focus on the love, Sarah. That's what people respond to." As Sarah turned back to Ruth, the pressure of responsibility blossomed like a flower, promising new life. Yet, in every petal, there was a potential threat lying in wait. With every step she took, Sarah could almost feel the town wrapping its arms around her in support. But she also felt that lurking danger, the shadow of Mark hanging above them. How could she protect this newfound hope when something dark was brewing just outside the horizon? The next morning, sunlight spilled into the kitchen, warming the space with a golden glow. Sarah breathed in deeply, the aroma of coffee mixing with the sweet scent of Mr. Johnson's pie. It felt like a new beginning, a canvas waiting for color. She grabbed her phone, flipping through her messages and responding to her friends' commitments for the gala. Each yes felt like a small victory, a building block for something bigger. "Mom, what do you think about a thank you wall?" she called out while sorting through supplies. "We could hang up notes from people who feel grateful. It might just bring more community spirit." Ruth appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "That's a wonderful idea, Sarah. A tangible way for everyone to connect. We can even make it a part of the decorations." Excitement bubbled in Sarah, but a shadow flickered at the back of her mind. The morning air, rich with possibilities, twisted her stomach in knots as thoughts of Mark clawed at her optimism. Was he really going to try to sabotage their efforts? Would he really come after her when she was trying to do something good? "Mom?" She hesitated, glancing towards Ruth. "I can feel it. He's not going to just let this slide. What if he tries to show up uninvited?" Ruth sighed, a look of concern knitting her brow. "You know how townsfolk can be. If he disrupts the gala, he'll only be showing everyone who he really is. Sometimes letting others see the truth is the best defense." "Yeah, but I don't want to put everyone through that stress." Sarah's fingers anxiously drummed on the table, her heart racing. "What if he starts a scene? After all we've worked for?" Ruth placed a gentle hand on Sarah's. "Just remember, every storm passes. Focus on the love, like we talked about. If you steer this towards connection and kindness, that energy will outweigh any negativity." Sarah felt the warmth of her mother's reassurance seep into her bones. She nodded slowly, uncertain but willing to trust Ruth's wisdom. They worked side by side, discussing more ideas for the gala: a game night, a photo booth, even a storytelling corner where locals could share their experiences. Laughter mixed with the sounds of clattering dishes, keeping the heaviness of doubt at bay, if only for the moment. As the day stretched on, the town began to buzz. People dropped off items for the auction and donations for the food. There was a sense of joy in the air, a culmination of efforts that felt almost palpable. She saw her friends in the park preparing the space, laughter and camaraderie woven through every interaction, but just before sunset, a chill settled over the scene. A figure in the distance caught her eye. Mark was standing at the edge of the park, arms crossed, his face a mask of disdain as he watched the preparations unfold. He didn't need to say a word, the disapproval radiated off him like a dark cloud. Sarah's heart sank. The joy began to feel like a fragile bubble, threatening to burst. What would he say? How far was he willing to go? Sarah. Melissa jogged over, her face flushed with excitement. We're almost set up. But do you see Mark over there? Yeah, I see him, Sarah replied, her voice small. What if he starts something? I'm not ready for this. Melissa placed a firm hand on Sarah's shoulder. We can handle anything if we stick together. Just remember, he can't take away what we've built here. Not without our permission. Let us focus on the good. With every encouraging word, Sarah felt a flicker of hope reignite. Maybe they could hold on to what mattered. But the lingering fear of Mark's presence loomed over her like a storm cloud, waiting for the right moment to unleash. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the town into twilight, Sarah took a deep breath, standing a little taller. What could she do to ensure they weathered any storm that Mark might bring? All eyes were on her now, and she couldn't let them down. But just as she lifted her chin, ready to cast aside her fears, a sharp voice rang out from behind her. Having a good time planning your little party? Mark sneered, stepping forward with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Her heart raced. How would she respond? Each heartbeat felt like the countdown to something she couldn't control, and she had to fight back. Could she rise above, or would Mark's words drag her down into the darkness? Mark, Sarah said, forcing her voice to remain steady, it's not just a party. We're trying to build something positive here. She could feel the collective gaze of her friends and acquaintances shift to her, a silent support group waiting for her to stand her ground. Positive? Mark laughed, the sound akin to ice cracking in winter. People like you and your little gala? You think that is going to change anything? You think this town cares about your thank you wall? The laughter faded, leaving behind an uncomfortable silence. Sarah swallowed hard, willing her racing heart to slow. She could feel Melissa's reassuring squeeze on her shoulder, urging her to speak up. Yes, I do, Sarah replied, passion rising in her chest. The town deserves something uplifting. They deserve to feel appreciated. We need that more than ever. Mark stepped closer, the grimace on his face deepening. You're just idealistic, Sarah. Sometimes the world is not as simple as sending out thank you notes. What are you going to do? Write a note to me? I don't need your pity. Sarah's breath hitched, emotions swirling within her. Everything she worked for was weighed down by his dismissive attitude. I'm not here to pity anyone. I'm here to facilitate change, she shot back, feeling fiercer with each word. Mark raised an eyebrow, his smirk shifting to something more sinister. Change? Like how you took the spotlight for yourself? People aren't rooting for you. They're waiting for you to fail. Say what you want, Mark, she said, her voice bubbling with a mix of anger and determination. But I won't back down. This gala is going to happen whether you like it or not. As if on cue, voices from the crowd began to rise, echoing her sentiments. Yeah. We believe in you, Sarah. Someone shouted, and others quickly followed suit, their voices blending into a chorus of support. Mark's eyes darkened. You really think that can stop me? He hissed. For a moment, shock flickered across Sarah's heart, but the chant from the crowd washed over her, bolstering her confidence. "Let this be a lesson, Mark," she said, stepping forward, emboldened by the community behind her. "You don't have the power to dictate how this town feels. You don't own our happiness. Just watch what we can accomplish." Mark stared at her, his expression shifting from contempt to something like surprise. It was as if he didn't expect her to challenge him. But before he could respond, Melissa jumped in. "You can leave if you're just here to spread negativity. We have higher things to focus on than your empty threats." Mark's face turned crimson with frustration. After a tense moment, he scoffed, backing away slowly, letting his anger bubble inside him. "Fine, have your little celebration. But don't say I didn't warn you when things go south," he shot back, spinning on his heel and stalking away. As he disappeared into the gathering twilight, a wave of relief washed over Sarah. The tension in her shoulders eased, replaced by hope and determination. She turned to her friends. "Thank you. I couldn't have done that without you." They all hugged, bodies vibrating with shared energy, a coalition against darkness. Yet as the excitement simmered down, the weight of the night sank in. Would Mark truly vanish quietly? Or would his threats linger in the air, waiting to confront her at the most vulnerable moment? The gale force of uncertainty shook her, but the hope threaded into her heart, giving her strength. Tonight was a turning point, but the battle wasn't over. As she looked around at the budding camaraderie, the laughter of her friends percolating through the cool night air, she couldn't shake the feeling that shadow loomed still. What was in store for them in the hours ahead? How would she protect this fragile sense of belonging from the storm that Mark heralded? With her fists clenched in determination, she took a deep breath, prepared for whatever might come next. Would she stand unwavering, or would she fall under the strain? The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm amber glow over the crowd as they began to disperse, laughter echoing against the wooden structures lining the town square. Sarah watched the people go, her heart still racing from the encounter with Mark. Each step they took felt like victory, but looming uncertainty clouded her excitement. Melissa stood beside her, arms crossed, a spark of adrenaline still lighting her eyes. "You were incredible, Sarah. I swear, I thought Mark was going to burst into flames right there." "Thanks." Sarah smiled, but the weight of Mark's words echoed in her mind, a reminder of a battle yet to come. The joy of the moment only filled a void, the fear of Mark's return still gripped her. "I mean it," Melissa continued, her enthusiasm infectious. "This gala is going to be amazing. You're changing things, you know. You're inspiring all of us. I can see it in their eyes." Yet the doubt crept in again. But what if Mark's right? What if everyone's just waiting for me to mess up? What if the gala turns into a disaster? "Hey, stop." Melissa lightly punched her arm. "You've worked hard for this. It's our time to shine, not just yours. Everyone in this town wants to feel valued again. You're sparking that. Don't let him take that away from you." With each word, Sarah felt a little of the knot in her stomach loosen, replaced by determination. They began to walk toward the community center where the gala preparations were already underway. Glittering lights danced across the ceiling, and banners proclaiming thank you hung like pearls, waiting to be unveiled. As they entered, Sarah grabbed a clipboard and started checking off the final details. The energy in the room was electric, the sounds of laughter blending with the music playing softly in the background. It made her feel a sense of purpose, a renewed drive. Still, doubts lingered in the shadows. Was she strong enough to protect this harmony? Was she prepared for whatever Mark might unleash next? She pushed the worries aside, focusing instead on her friends, who were buzzing like bees to a flower, arranging decorations and preparing for the upcoming festivities. Then, just as a wave of optimism began to wash over her, the door burst open. There he stood, Mark, face twisted with an unsettling smirk, flanked by a handful of his friends who looked all too eager to cause trouble. The laughter in the room faded into a tense silence. "Thought you could plan this little party without inviting the whole town, huh?" Mark taunted. "You think this pathetic event is going to change anything?" The air turned thick with tension. Sarah's heart raced, responding automatically. You need to leave, Mark. This is our space now. We're creating something good here. Oh, is that what you think? He stepped further inside, eyes roving over the decorations like a predator sizing up its prey. Trust me, I've got a few surprises in store that might change your tune. Without a word, he turned and gestured for his friends to follow, but the lingering threat in his gaze sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. Melissa crossed her arms, a fierce glint in her eyes. I'll handle this, she declared, walking toward the door, but Sarah grabbed her arm. No. We need to show strength together. It's not just about him. It's about all of us. With renewed resolve, Sarah turned to the crowd behind her, rallying their support. This is our moment. We're not going to let anyone take our happiness from us. As a collective energy surged through the room, they stood, united front against the storm brewing outside. But as they moved back to their preparations, Sarah couldn't shake the gnawing doubt. What kind of surprises did Mark have up his sleeve? As the energy shifted and anticipation built for the gala, Sarah felt a sense of both hope and fear, knowing that this was just the beginning. And somewhere deep down, she questioned if she truly had the strength to face what lay ahead. Could they overcome whatever Mark had planned, or would it be too much for them to handle? The clock ticked down to the gala, each passing moment filling Sarah with a mixture of anticipation and dread. The walls of the community center felt like they were closing in. What if Mark returned? What if he brought chaos with him? She tried to shake the thoughts, but they clung like shadows. Sarah. Melissa's voice cut through her spiraling worries. Can you help me with these centerpieces? Sarah turned, grateful for the distraction. As they arranged the vibrant flowers in mismatched vases, Sarah struggled to keep her hands steady. She could see her reflection in the shiny surfaces, a girl torn between courage and fear. Are you okay? Melissa asked, noticing Sarah's silence. Yeah, just trying to focus, she admitted, forcing a smile. Melissa nodded, but the worry did not leave her face. You know, whatever happens tonight, you've brought us together. Just look at everyone, they're excited. Sarah glanced around the room. The community center buzzed with energy. Old friends reconnected, laughter hung in the air like sweet music. They were making memories, and for a moment, she felt that familiar spark of joy. But Mark loomed in the back of her mind. It was a fragile happiness, one that could shatter at any second. As the room filled, the atmosphere thickened, anticipation humming like electric wires. The sound of heels clicked against the floor, people dressed in their best, smiles plastered on their faces, hiding whatever fears might have been within. She saw familiar faces, neighbors, teachers, families, and felt an overwhelming sense of purpose. All right, everyone, Sarah called out, raising her voice over the chatter. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight is about celebrating our community, our strength, and each other. She felt something rise within her, a warmth spreading like wildfire as she saw heads nodding and smiles blooming. Suddenly, the door swung open again. The hair on the back of her neck stood at attention. Time seemed to pause. Mark strode in, confidence radiating from him like a dark cloud. His presence sucked the air from the room. Whispers erupted, muffled gasps rippling through the crowd. Didn't I say I had surprises? He called out, a gleam in his eye that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. I see you've all dressed up for the occasion. How quaint. The room fell silent. Mark glanced around, scanning the crowd, his smirk twisting wider. But you're forgetting something. Not every surprise is a good one. A knot tightened in Sarah's stomach. What do you mean? She called out, trying to steady her voice. Oh, you'll find out soon enough, Mark replied, then turned to his friends, who chuckled darkly, heightening her dread. They were ready to unleash whatever chaos they had planned, and she braced herself for the worst. Don't let him get to you, Melissa whispered, standing shoulder to shoulder with Sarah, defiance in her gaze. We stick together. We win together. Sarah's heart swelled at the solidarity around her. You're right, she murmured, taking a deep breath. Together. As the gala pressed on, the tension between Mark and Sarah crackled like electricity. She focused on the few brave souls weaving through the chaos, connecting with each other, igniting hope in their community. But unease lingered, whispering that their peace was inherently fragile. Moments stretched into an eternity, and just when Sarah thought they could carry on despite Mark, she saw him signal to his friends. Her breath hitched. What were they planning? Could they withstand whatever Mark had concocted? The gala was meant to heal. Could it turn into their worst nightmare? As the music started again, swelling to fill the room, Sarah's heart raced. The moment of truth was approaching. What would happen when all masks fell? The atmosphere in the community center grew tenser as the music played on, each note feeling more like a countdown to disaster. Sarah's heart hammered in her chest. She had fought so hard to create something beautiful, and now Mark was there, like a storm cloud ready to rain down chaos. She glanced at Melissa, who was keeping a close eye on Mark and his friends. What are they planning? Sarah whispered, her voice trembling slightly. I don't know, Melissa replied, determination etched on her face. But we're not going to let them ruin this. As the evening unfolded, the mood wavered between excitement and anxiety. Sarah watched as people engaged in conversation, laughter bursting in small pockets around the room, only to be interrupted by Mark's mocking laughter that trailed like a shadow over the festivities. It made her stomach twist. Everyone, Mark suddenly called out, his voice booming over the music. With a flourish, he stepped onto a small stage set up for announcements. His friends joined him, forming a smirk-laden wall of confidence. Let us see how well you really know each other, shall we? The crowd shifted uneasily. What does he mean? Someone murmured. Murmurs of confusion spread like wildfire. Mark leaned into the microphone, his smile sharp. I've got some games planned. Nothing too harsh. Just some fun revelations. Sarah's heart sank. This wasn't just a game for Mark. This was an opportunity for embarrassment, a chance for him to throw mud on the joy they tried to create. He thrived in chaos, and now it felt like he was ready to unleash it. Let us start with the couples. He boomed, waving a hand theatrically. How well do you really know your partners? Let us find out. Gasps filled the air as people exchanged nervous glances. Couples shifted uncomfortably, and Sarah could feel a sense of dread passing through the crowd like a chill wind. Come on. Mark said with feigned incredulity. What's wrong? This is just a little fun. Not everyone finds embarrassment fun, Mark. Sarah shouted, drawing gasps and surprised looks. She felt more defiant with each word. Ah, our fearless leader speaks. He answered with sarcasm. But I think the fun is just beginning. Mark's friends pulled out large cards with names and questions, distributing them like confetti at a parade. Sarah felt her pulse quicken. Couples looked back and forth. Some had already started to whisper to one another while others froze, unsure of what to say. Mark grinned, holding a card high. First question. Who is more likely to forget anniversaries? Laughter erupted, but it felt more like a cover for fear, the tension thickening as couples offered nervous smiles. Sarah swallowed hard but felt anger boiling inside. Did he really think he could control the night like this? As Mark inflicted question after question on his unwitting guests, Sarah stumbled back. It was like a festering wound peeling open over and over again, and she knew she had to stop this. She couldn't let him ruin everything. Taking a deep breath, she stepped away from Melissa and moved towards the stage, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The music faded into the background, and the noise zoomed out. In that moment, Sarah felt fierce resolve welling in her heart. She had put in so much effort to bring people together. Mark might have once shattered her confidence, but she wasn't going down without a fight. Mark. She called, her voice ringing out clear and strong. This isn't what we're here for. The crowd turned, surprise washing over their faces as they watched. In that moment, a collective hope blossomed amidst the fear. What do you think you're doing? Mark sneered, an edge creeping into his tone. Creating a place of joy, a community something you don't understand, Sarah shot back, her voice unwavering. We deserve so much better than this. The silence that followed felt electric, her heart racing fast in her chest. She could see a flicker of uncertainty in Mark's eyes. What if they united against him? What if the power of their shared resilience turned the tide? Would her courage ignite a change? In the balance of defiance and fear came an unexpected surge of hope. But could they overcome Mark together before it was too late? The silence hung heavy in the air, the tension palpable as Sarah faced Mark head-on. A moment of vulnerability passed through the crowd, a collective breath held tight, waiting for what she would say next. She could feel the heat of their gazes, a silent affirmation that their strength lay not just in her, but in the community they'd built together. Mark's smirk faltered, uncertainty flickering across his eyes. You really think you can change anything? He spat, crossing his arms defensively. This is just a carnival and you're its clown. No. Sarah shouted, surprising herself with the volume. This isn't a joke. You don't get to dictate our joy. We're here to celebrate each other's stories and support each other. The crowd shifted, murmuring their agreement. Sarah's heart raced as she felt the swell of unity among them, a tide turning against the darkness of Mark's taunts. We're facing struggles, but we're here to find strength in love, in connection. This gala is about lifting each other up, not tearing us apart. Mark's bravado wavered, the smirk replaced by irritation. He glanced at his friends, who were shifting nervously, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. But Sarah pressed on, emboldened by the warmth of support radiating from the faces around her. And you know what? She continued, her voice steady. We're going to show you just how powerful community can be. This isn't the end, it's just the beginning. Take your negativity and your games somewhere else. You don't own this night. With that declaration, a cheer erupted from the crowd. They surged forward, surrounding Sarah, fists raised in solidarity, the tension between them and Mark erupting like fireworks. Laughter mixed with shouts of affirmation filled the once quiet space, replacing the weight of doubt with a genuine sense of purpose. See? Sarah challenged Mark, her heart pounding with exhilaration. You can't break us. We're stronger united, and you'll never understand that. His face twisted in frustration, and for a fleeting moment, doubt flickered in his expression. Okay. Whatever he huffed, looking around at the united townsfolk, who echoed their solidarity, Mark turned abruptly, storming toward the exit with his friends trailing behind, unwilling to witness what he couldn't control. The door swung shut behind him, casting away the negativity like an unwanted shadow. As the crowd erupted in applause, Sarah felt a rush of relief flood her spirit, like sunlight breaking through the clouds after a storm. Melissa rushed to her side, eyes sparkling with joy. You did it. That was incredible. You're amazing. Sarah grinned, her heart soaring. We did it together. Look at this place. It's buzzing with life. It's not just me. It's all of us fighting for hope. The community gathered closer, forming a circle of warmth around Sarah, reverberating with energy and laughter. They launched into their activities, introducing games and stories, uplifting each other's spirits as they prepared for the rest of the evening. Each shared laugh rekindled the joy of connection, turning concerns into an outpouring of support. As the night draped its blanket of stars overhead, Sarah glanced over to where Ruth sat with the proud smile she'd grown accustomed to. The strength in her mother's eyes made her heart swell. This was more than just a gala, it was the spark of a transformation, and just like that, the night radiated with an air of resilience and light, illuminating the true essence of Maplewood. As the evening drew to a close, Sarah stood before everyone once more. Look around. We've reclaimed our joy. This is what community means, supporting one another and embracing our unique stories. Her words resonated deeply, sending ripples through the gathered friends and neighbors. They cheered, a chorus of voices united. As she stepped down from the small platform, Sarah's heart brimmed with pride. The fear that once clouded their collective spirit had lifted. She realized that love and determination could illuminate even the darkest corners. Let us do this again together. Sarah called over the bubbling chatter. The crowd erupted in applause, laughter bridging the gaps they once feared would divide them. She felt a warmth swell within her, a hope unfurling like a banner against the night sky. In that moment, Sarah understood this journey was about so much more than her ambitions. It was about family, resilience, and the strength found in unity. As she prepared to leave that night, the driving energy from the gala settled gently into her heart, grounding her in the promise of a new beginning. She knew they could face whatever came next, together. This was more than just a night, it was the dawn of a new era for Maplewood, and in that spirit, dear friends, if you want more inspiring stories like this, you need to subscribe now. Hit that bell for all notifications because you won't want to miss what's coming next. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and comment below with your reactions and feelings about this monumental transformation. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this message of hope. Don't wait not even one more second to unite with us. Your support matters now more than ever.